welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm John, and today we're here to talk about The Fabelmans, the latest film from director Steven Spielberg. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, tech and game reviews, we try to do them all here on the channel, and nothing will help us out more than by you liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So The Fabelmans was released in November of 2022, and at the time of this recording, it's still only in a limited run. It hasn't expanded yet, but I was able to catch this film this past weekend. And boy, am I glad I did, because this is another Steven Spielberg classic film. Is it as good as such films as Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Jurassic Park, Schindler's List? No, it's not, but it is still a really good, well-crafted Steven Spielberg film. And this one is a semi-autobiographical film about his life, his upbringing, his childhood, and his first year in making film. And this film stars Gabriel LaBelle as the Steven Spielberg stand-in of Sammy Fabelman, with his parents played by Paul Dano and Michelle Williams, and this cast also features such actors as Judd Hirsch and Seth Rogen. And Gabriel LaBelle, his character very much actually reminded me of the lead actor in Cameron Crowe's Almost Famous. Even this film kind of felt like it was a little bit structured like Almost Famous, at least tonally. I kind of felt like that's exactly what I was watching because, you know, Gabriel LaBelle, he does an amazing job in the lead role, but he's not asked to do a flashy performance. He's really asked to just be observing, really like take in what other people are doing, comment when he needs to comment. And then on the dramatic scenes that he's asked to do, he does a great job at that. I didn't think he had the greatest performance in this film, but he sure did a great job as the Steven Spielberg stand-in that was really guiding us through this entire story of his adolescence and then his early adulthood years. This film does start off with a young Sammy seeing his first film on the big screen with his parents. He's seeing the greatest show on earth, and all he wants to do now is get a train set and crash the train like they do in that movie. And then his mom tells him, you know what, we're going to film this once, and then we're going to watch it over and over. And then he catches that filmmaking bug, and even from that very young age, Sammy wanted to be a filmmaker. Then we have a time jump when the family moves to Arizona, just like Steven Spielberg did in his youth. And then it really is just exploring the family drama that's going on. Paul Dano and Michelle Williams' marriage is not the greatest marriage of all time. They have their own issues that they're working out. We all know that Steven Spielberg's parents got divorced when he was a kid, and that played a huge part in his life. You could see that on screen in such films as Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
It's okay, though. I'm still dad.
E.T., it's even made, I mean, people have made jokes about how much Steven Spielberg talks about his parents' divorce in all his movies. And now we get to see it on the big screen of exactly what happened, or at least, you know, it's not a one-for-one, but it's loosely based on what happened in his childhood. And Michelle Williams and Paul Dano are, I mean, Michelle Williams, my God, she steals the show in this, and I wouldn't be surprised if she gets a Best Actress nomination, because she definitely deserves it. She does a phenomenal job in this, and Michelle Williams, she's been nominated for 4 Academy Awards. She starred in such films as Blue Valentine, Brokeback Mountain, Manchester by the Sea. She really is truly an underrated actress, and I don't know why, because she is just so good at her job. And then on the other side of that, you have Paul Dano. Paul Dano is another great actor. Just this year alone, he plays the Riddler in The Batman, and my God, this is a full 180 from that performance, because that he's over the top, over-exaggerated. Here he's very pulled back. To quote a 1950s and 60s term, he kind of plays a square. He's a geeky dude, a computer guy. You know, his temper never really rises. He's just very reserved and pulled back, and that's weird coming from Paul Dano. I mean, I've seen him do this before, but I'm always just waiting for that There Will Be Blood Paul Dano. Where he just starts screaming and yelling and slamming things. But no, this is a very pulled back, very grounded Paul Dano, and he does a great job in what he's asked to do. It's not the flashiest performance. I don't expect him to get an Academy Award nomination for this. Now, I don't know what the minimum on getting an Academy Award nomination is for Best Supporting Actor. If you can get it based only on a few minutes, well, Judd Hirsch totally deserves that, because he steals the few scenes that he's in this movie as Sammy's uncle, the brother to Michelle Williams' mother. He stops by, and they share a few scenes together, and Judd Hirsch just does an amazing job. Another actor who has a small performance in this is Seth Rogen. He plays a very reserved and pulled back character than what we're used to seeing Seth Rogen play. This isn't an over-the-top funny guy like we're used to. This is very much in line with his performance in Steve Jobs, where he's really getting to show off his dramatic chops, and he does a good job at that. He's not asked to do too much heavy lifting, but what he does a great job with it. But this film isn't a perfect film. I really do feel like the plot of the movie really does revolve around the family drama, and the stakes just never really feel too high. You know, really, we're just there for the story about Sammy and his filmmaking love, and all the family drama, which is a very core part of this movie, doesn't always work for me. I just feel like we know where it's going. and we're never really too surprised. So the acting really has to carry it and lift those scenes up, in my opinion. I think that's a weak part of the screenplay, and the actors have to really save that. And just because Steven Spielberg is such a great director, those scenes feel bigger than they really should. Like, because Steven Spielberg just knows how to film scope and just make things feel big and lively and important. Like, he just knows how to put the camera in the right spot. And this film is really just showing you that he really knew how to do all this stuff at a very young age. He almost has it down to a science. It's really unbelievable. We've been seeing this guy since the 70s. It's 2022. Last year he had one of the best films, even though it wasn't one of my favorite films, in the remake of West Side Story. So this guy still knows how to make a almost perfectly crafted film. I think the only thing that holds this film back from being perfect is just the screenplay. Just the stakes just never feel high enough for me. You know, I mean, it felt like, okay, I know where we're going. I want to just see where we're going. And that was fine. We didn't really have to have those plot points in there to really hit. But they just didn't work 100% for me. And that's kind of what just held it back from being a perfect film. Because this is still one of the best films of 2022. It's something that you're going to want to go see in theaters. If you're a fan of Steven Spielberg and you're a fan of what he's been doing over the last, like, 10 years, as far as, like, you know, the dramas that he's been making. We know we don't get much of the action-adventure Steven Spielberg. You know, we had Ready Player One, like, kind of sneak in there. That's kind of been the outlier in what he's been doing over the last, like, 15 years. And that's more in line with those films, like Bridge of Spies kind of films. Like, very tonally, cinematography is very similar to that. It still really works. He still just knows what he's doing. It's not a perfect film, but it's definitely a really, really, really good one, and it is probably the front runner for Best Picture because the Academy eats films like this up, films that just talk about people's love of filmmaking. You get, you know, there's shots of cameras, editing machines. Like, the Academy is just going to fall in love with this film. It's Steven Spielberg. This definitely is the front runner for Best Picture. I guarantee it. Should it win Best Picture? It wouldn't be my choice, but it definitely deserves the nomination. And if it did win Best Picture, I would not be disappointed by that at all. So what would I give this film out of 10? I would definitely give this film a pretty solid 9 out of 10. I've been going back and forth on my rating between 8 and 9. You know, I feel like my flaws with the film are just very minor. I can't really take too many points off for it because it is just, again, just such a well-crafted, well-directed, well-acted film. Really, what more can I ask for? I would just be nitpicking. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Check this out in theaters while you can. It should be expanding worldwide soon. Right now, it's only in a limited run. If you can check it out now, definitely do that. If not, look for it in the next month. I'm sure it's definitely something you could see with your family over Christmas. But before we get out of here today, we got some business to take care of in the form of our digital code giveaway. And that means it's time for us to pick our 2 winners of the digital code giveaway. So everybody who entered into this week's digital code giveaway, your names were put on a magic wheel, and I spun that magic wheel 2 times today to find out who those 2 lucky winners are. And those 2 winners will have their choice of the digital codes that they have seen on their screen before them today. But what questions did we ask you guys? We asked you guys, what was your favorite biographical film? And oddly enough, I didn't plan this out. I put that in Malcolm X's video because that was a biographical film. And this one is a semi-autobiographical film about Steven Spielberg's life. So I didn't plan that out that way. It just kind of worked out. And, you know, lucky for us. And we got a lot of great comments about people's favorite biographical films. I saw a bunch for Raging Bull. I saw some really unique ones that I haven't seen before that I'm going to definitely check out. And just some really great and creative answers. And then the answers we got for what film disappointed people most, we got Thor Love and Thunder was most people's actual pick, and I was disappointed by Thor Love and Thunder myself. Not completely disappointed, but coming off Thor Ragnarok, which is my favorite MCU film, it was definitely a letdown. But it's still definitely worth the watch. It's definitely not the best film of Marvel Phase 4, and it's, you know, unfortunately, it probably doesn't even make the top 10 of the MCU. And, you know, I get why people were disappointed. I was just as disappointed. But it's still not the worst film you've ever seen. But living up to the hype of Thor Ragnarok, most films pale in comparison to that. So anyway, let's spin this wheel and see who our 2 winners are. First wheel spin coming up. That was close. Congratulations, Charlie. You're our first winner. All right, wheel spin number 2 coming up. Han. Congratulations, Han. Well, there you have it. Charlie and Han. Charlie and Han, congratulations. I do believe that this is both of your first wins. but I could be wrong about that. And if it is your first win, don't forget to hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or you can always email us at letstalkentmt@gmail.com. Let us know which of the digital codes you want, and as long as the other winner didn't take it, that digital code is all yours. Anyway, guys, if you didn't win this week, please come back to Friday's video. We will do this all again. I'll ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you gotta do is answer one in the comments section below, and you're entered. And then you come back to next Monday's video, and we will spin this wheel 2 times again, and we will pick 2 more winners. All right, guys, I want you guys to go out there and enjoy your day. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. And then, go out and tell all your friends.